If you could make a different style of spirit, what would it be and why?
I think for me, if I could make a different style of spirit, now experimentally, it would probably be maybe gin.
I've always had the aspiration of doing gin. We do a gin for a bulk customer, but I'd like to be able to do or resurrect the traditional Hiram Walker gins or a Weiser's gin.
It's something we've never done. It would be pretty interesting to see what that looks like from a molasses base.
Where we're located in Windsor, Ontario, we are the tomato capital of Canada. I'd love to make a traditional style of gin, use some of the botanicals native to our area. I was thinking tomato stock would be an interesting flavor to bring into a gin style. And there are a couple other botanicals. There's an interesting one too I played with. It's called Canadian snake root. They call it ginger of the north. Beautiful spicy flavor. I'd love to bring that into a gin someday.
Most of our whiskey production has been rye whiskey, and so I have a lot of interest in exploring other traditional styles of whiskey.
I like the wood character and I enjoy the complexity that the grain brings. So I don't think I would veer away from kind of the whiskey category.
Right now we are working on another type of whiskey, but there's still a lot of opportunity there and a lot of things that I'd like to try.
So I think that what I want to focus on is really trying to go back to our roots and look at how people were producing whiskey in Kentucky, in our region, when they first moved westward over the Appalachians.
It would have to be really provenance driven. That's the thing that excites me most about what we're doing here at Westland.
At one time, we did have the ability to grow all the grains needed to produce these beautiful whiskeys. So currently working to bring back grain growth of smaller grains to Kentucky. Would there be a sensory difference? Would we see that grain grown in this part of the world, this region, is different than grain grown in the other parts, and does it have an impact?
So if I was going to try to make something different in a different place, different time, I would want to do something similar. You know, there's a lot of similarities in mezcal production, which are quite exciting. But even things like eau de vie, where you're really capturing the essence of something in a perfect moment, you know, that's a really exciting type of spirit to create.
Well, maybe we could create a different style of spirit. But if we didn't do this, and that would take many hours for me to tell you what I got in my mind. When I retire, and that's quite a few years from now, hopefully, I'd love to make beautiful, pure, delicious fruit eau de vie, a framboise, a prune, or a pear. And you know, next to a little pot still as an old grandpa, I could be doing these very fine fruit eau de vie. This is kind of my little dream in the back of my head.
But it doesn't really matter exactly what type of spirit. It's more about, can I produce a spirit that would be connected to provenance and express the place where it's made?
Yeah, it would have to be something that really was surprising for its region, for its country. I have to talk about Glenglassa because as well as making a different style of spirit, it's introducing consumer to a different style of spirit. And I would say Glenglassa is different from every other spirit I have tried. It's almost like a sour mash, even though we don't do sour mash, combined with a rum-like estery character. It truly is something spectacular.
I've always been interested in the winemaking industry. I think there's a lot of crossover in the sense that each vineyard, each chateau would have their own unique fingerprint that would define their style of wine compared to other wineries within the same region or other parts of the world, and I think that can be said for whiskey as well.
For me, it is exploring the different geographies of the world and what part nature has to play in creating different spirits.
The wine side of it, depending on where you are geographically, would be an element of what makes you unique to other people, the type of grape you're using, and even the gradient and the slope of where the vines are growing, and obviously the soil.
In terms of me being able to make a different style of spirit, you know, that's a very interesting question. What I would really like to try and do is to make a spirit that not only had an amazing flavour, but had a whole fabulous range of colours in it.
With whiskey, you know, where we're maturing our whiskey, the size and the shape of our stills, all allow us to make a style of whiskey that is unique to us, that would easily be replicated by other distilleries. And I think that kind of crossover is quite interesting, and that's what makes me kind of eager to see a bit more of the winemaking side if I could.
When I view my potential new products, I'm not just seeing a potential flavour at the end of the day, I view it in many different colours. So that's what I would like to do, to create a spirit with a rainbow colour effect to it.